I will talk about masculinity later, as I am in the mood to end this trilogy once and for all. I'll also create a playlist, but right now I am here, I am now, I have bow. I'll just pop up here and there, mostly for intermissions. Let's get on with your suggestions, starting with Drakengard. I have heard many things about Drakengard.
Wow. Well, let me just tell you that Raw presents WWE Backlash, sponsored by Drakengard. Backlash is coming to you live.
Many negatives, but also it was directed by Yoko Taro, so I tried it on a demo disc. Oh, a non-rail shooter! I like that, despite the clunkiness. There's even some dialogue. This is my vibe. This is the jam I need. And then the Dynasty Warriors segment happens. To it, I just feel nothing. Just nothing. Maybe it's a commentary on violence in video games and how it feels unsatisfying. Then the worst possible thing happens. I am defeated, so I have to try everything over and over again. And that's my experience with the gameplay of Drakengard. Not only do I despise this title, but it's cost $100. So might as well watch the cutscenes. It might be fun. It was not fun. This is a story about this guy fighting for his country until he almost perishes. So he makes a pact with a dragon to survive. But it gets worse. Well, I think the character motivations are clear due to the dialogue. It hammers its point over and over again, to the point where any of these lines could come from r/I am 14 and this is deep. This is some of the darkest nihilistic garbage from the 2000s. It legit deserves its M rating. I thought it was rated T, but maybe this is just me misremembering. Yoko Taro has probably written this on fanfiction.net, as the endings are pretty unsatisfying, aside from ending A. I blame Squeenix more than Yoko Taro, although I blame Yoko Taro for this garbage. You humans are bad! Then he pulls this out. This trash is worse than most of humanity. Gosh! Either way, this game is an autistic 14 years old first novel. Like, if I wrote a novel at 14 years old, this would be what it would look like. That combined with the localization that punches up the dialogue is just, it shows that very well. So, I can kinda relate, but I am not eager to try out Taro's other titles. Maybe later. So might as well talk about demo discs. For some reason, the internet had an obsession with betas, as well as any kind of lost media. So playing an incomplete version of a game on actual hardware is very special to me, hence why I bought all of these. For some reason, the gaming community does not care about these. Like, a lot of them are very cheap, so I might as well grab them while I can. So I will rank all of the demo discs or something. PlayStation at both PlayStation Underground and official PlayStation Magazine demo discs. OPM demos are basic and just consist of demos, while PlayStation Underground discs had a surprising amount of things. Interviews, saves, import demos, a game made by the community. PSU was packed with content. So the official PlayStation Magazine merged with PlayStation Underground and went overdrive. Each disc had cheat codes to access secrets, more interviews, actual tech demos. OPM was outstanding until the internet happened. After that we got ordinary demos with flavorless menu with the demos. Alright, this is a video about autistic games. So lightning round! Cast had flavorless demo discs aside from an exclusive game. Xbox had less demos than PS2, but also had music videos and DVD menu previews? Why? The Gamecube had some GBA ROMs and GBA link cable content, but Nintendo never distributed most of these legal, so that's that. Meanwhile, Xbox 360 demo discs had often online features, while European PS3 demo discs were basically just installers. You have to install every demo on the hardware. Yay!
Hey kid.
Who? Me?
Yeah, you dummy.
Fortunately, a bunch of indie developers created Haunted PS1 demo discs, which is basically an interactive game that leads to a lot of demos. So yeah, indie save gaming again. So what's next? Pac-Man. Oh. The pack is back, so there are some bodybuilder backs. Pac can be beaten, yeah! The quest for getting a high score kinda feels like something you have to dedicate yourself to, like that one kid in The Wizard. So getting the high score requires intimate knowledge of the game. That sounds autistic as heck. So Pac-Man being a casual game that focuses on the score, with fruits being mechanics and colorful imagery, as well as the characters with names that you interact with, make Pac-Man even more autistic experience. Pac-Man, Ninky, Blinky, Pinky, Clyde. Those might be the most memorable characters aside from Miss Pac-Man. Miss Pac-Man is great. Do I enjoy trying to get the high score? Not that much. It doesn't stop 90% citation needed of Pac-Man games being score-based. Even in the 3D ones, all you need are scores to achieve something. Hence why Bamco focused on 2D games based on score recently. Aside from Pac-Man 2 focusing on his slapsticky adventures, while the 3D ones are complicated. Pac-Man World has more linear stages with a larger focus on collectibles, but there's still that emphasis on score. Not only do you collect things, but you try finishing the level in the most efficient way possible, sort of like a prototype version of the Sonic Adventure 2 ranks. Same for Pac-Man World 2, but a lot more elaborated, especially since the higher your score, the more unlockables you're gonna get, so you better get those scores going. As for Pac-Man World 3, it has, I would rather go play Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures. There are power pellets everywhere, but the game design cares more about you beating up everything, and jokes.
Those things are scary. Can I go home now?
Pac-Man is out of the blue a jerk, while the previous games had him silent. It reeks of "how do you do, fellow kids" energy. Even the Ghostly Adventures pack store fits more Pac-Man character, and that show has farts. So since Pac-Man World 3 did not focus on score, I don't think it's autistic enough. Plus, this is a different team from Pac-Man World 2 and blah blah blah. Developers getting screwed over by executives. Again. Pac-Man World Rally is actually underrated in my opinion. It's a fun kart racer that uses score as a way to go faster, which makes a ton of sense for a Pac-Man kart racer. The only thing is that while the levels themselves are fine enough, unlike other kart racers, it has no real exploration elements. I would still consider it autistic enough. Ghostly Adventures 1 and 2 has the scoring and collecting of the first two world games, but comes off as far less memorable due to being developed by the people who made Flushed Away. I talked more about the Ghostly Adventures in another one of my videos, so if you want to do it, just go watch it. Huh? What is this? Shin Megami Tensei? I know exactly how to talk about it. First, hospitals. The start of SMT3 Nocturne is haunting. You want to go see a friend at an hospital, but there's barely anyone there, and before you know it, boom, the world ends. This part of the game with the hospital is kinda nice. Most people I know obviously find hospitals scary, maybe disgusting due to the amount of barely alive people there. Despite that, SMT3 made me admire the aesthetics of hospitals. So when I went for my eye surgery last year, I could not help but gaze at the garden, and I kinda felt happy despite being stressed from the surgery. Yes, I often visited one of my friends that was terminally ill, so hospitals are also sad. But for some reason, SMT3 make me like these buildings and appreciate them for what they are. As for the game itself, it is compelling. The thing about most SMT games is that nowhere is truly safe. No real towns, every town barely has anyone in it, which is both scary yet comforting. You as well as your demons don't need to conform to societal expectations or even to mask. This is a world where you can do what you want and say what you want. I can understand why autistic people, including myself, can gravitate towards it. You don't even have to befriend every demon, just the ones that you really like. Be yourself. The world has already ended. It can't be that bad. This is a charming way to see nihilism, and despite how hard the game is, it at least lets me be who I want to be. All I need now is a stim button. Sponge boy me Bob, I enjoy stimming very much in that voice. I haven't played SMT5, but it's probably autistic in that same way. While safe spaces from some SMT games like Strange Journey only have a few people in them, which is pretty nice, but has you on edge all the time. However, while this situation seems distressing, it pretty much becomes a routine the further you get into the game. And even the Persona games have their own kind of routine. So I think that makes Shin Megami Tensei games very autistic in my eyes. Now look at this footage of me barely playing Mother 1 because random battles. Mother trucker. Mother trucker. Mother trucker. Mother trucker. Mother trucker. Mother trucker. Autistic Video Games 3. I can understand why a lot of autistic folks enjoy the Mother Trucker series. It is a mildly accessible JRPG with a simpler art style. There's also the wacky humor that aged better than a lot of other humor from that era ever did. While the colorful characters will stick in your head due to their designs, although the game is also secretly dark. Ooh, spooky! I tried playing Mother 1, but the confusing map, very big locations, full of repeated textures, along with so many random battles tired me in ways not even Dragon Quest did. It still has funny dialogue though. Do I prefer Earthbound a lot more? Yes! Although it is far from perfect, it encapsulates the feeling of being a kid in a world that barely considers them as a human being and considers them more of a tool to control. R/insane parents. Aren't I right, everybody? Yeah, Earthbound is like that, but portrayed in the most autistic way possible. From the battle's background stimulating overstimulation to the plot being just gives a shift up. Here's some maid melodies you have to find. While ranting on politicians and the police, it all feels like something I could come up with if you gave me a sheet and a paper. Wait, now I know what I'll be doing. There once was a boy, but he wasn't a boy. He was Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse. In order to get a re-release on the Nintendo Switch, you would need to find the 4 Pickle Ricks scattered all around the globe. Most of them being guarded by the evil Donald Trump and his evil Drum Corporation. You see what I mean? Mother 3, however, has more class and less crass. The story is more emotional with more grounded characters, which makes sense since it was originally a Nintendo 64 game with a lot of ambition. so the story had to be much more consistent. It still has that sense of humor, but the start of the game just made me cry. I barely saw a playthrough of Mother 3, but it has that same autistic feel, just more grown up. Even the marketing was about how much Mother 3 made people cry. Look at how hard Mother 3 can make me cry! So that's all I have to say for the Big Muta Trucker series. We're staying in the pixelated realm with Cave Story. Wow, this game really feels like a one-person project. Because it is. Every character looks distinct enough, yet fits perfectly into this weird world. There definitely is a cutesy storybook feel to these characters, as well as some anime-like comedy to the story. Considering Daisuke was born in the 70s, maybe he was very inspired by the anime he grew up with, so the story is like cute Renma 1.5 comedy.
Aren't they cute? They're animal crackers.
These are animals? An octopus?
Stupid, it's a penguin.
A hermit crab?
It's a lion.
It's a water flea.
A rabbit.
Loch Ness Monster.
A swan.
A Power Ranger.
Raccoon.
A salamander.
Alligator.
I know a platypus.
So let's just say that my brain that loves any type of animation gravitated around Cave Story during its WiiWare release. Yep, I had no idea about the game earlier. Mainly because my PC was terrible. However, since this was a freeware game on PC, Daisuke can insert anything. So of course there's deep lore and multiple endings. I personally prefer the neutral ending, but it is a memorable title that does its job well. Cave Story is one of the games that kickstarted the comeback of 2D platformers in the early 2010s, so of course it will stick to me during that era, and because of that I needed more 2D games. More! It was also Toho Fever thanks to Nico Nico Duga's content creators heading to YouTube. As much as I've only played Toho in very easy mode.
マジ？イージーモード？キモい！イージーモードが許されんのは小学生までだよね。
Everyone died. The end.
At a con back in 2018, I ended up buying a CD and playing another Toho game in 2019. I get that bullet hells and shmups have the autistic appeal of the high score, but I need to play Toho again to give my verdict. Radiant Silvergun has the old bullet acting, along with the roguelike aspect that gives you more lives and power the higher your score is. So it feels like a mix of both scores and RPG elements to create the ultimate autism cocktail, to the point where I took 10 hours to finish it, and very easy. Either way, I will try playing Toho in the future, same thing for Terraria and Skyrim, because I need to buy those games, so I guess Autistic Video Games 4 will happen eventually. As for the last games of the video, oh, it's Zelda, isn't it? I have played every Zelda game. I like them, but most of them are very professional polished titles that experiment but not always enough to my taste. Majora's Mask is my favorite due to the theme it tackles, and the thing about a lot of Japanese games is that its stuff gets deep, pretentious even, which is what Zelda ends up not always being. Complex? Yes. Messy and pretentious? No. However, one of the aspects of Zelda that is considered autistic by one of my commenters is Link's apathy and lack of reactions. The games prefer to let you react instead of Link. So Link, as a character, is both a blank slate yet autistic enough since his lack of understanding can resonate with autistic audiences. In Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, both Zelda and Link are silent. Although Zelda is her own character, I just think not all Zeldas need to act the same, so having a Zelda game where she's silent is very interesting. certainly as interesting as having her being a pirate. Link, me boy, fetch me some gold and whatever. Arr, gar, 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 gar. It certainly is cool to let the player imagine how she feels for once, as Zelda herself is very talkative most of the time, so it feels autistic to see her silent for once. However, I think the most autistic Zelda title is not even a Zelda title, it's a spin-off. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. The game itself is repetitive, which is something I might want to discuss later, because autistic people such as myself have a tendency to often follow the same kind of routines, and addictive gameplay loops can be considered routines by some. Either way, the story is the most melodramatic Greek tragedy fused with the saddest shoujo anime this side of Fruits Basket. It's why it's my favorite Zelda story. Anime! Subtle storytelling? Nah, let's just make a Zelda-focused shoujo anime with satisfying story arcs stupider than Breath of the Wild. Everything is as cheesy as Sonic, hence why it's autistic, and I would call it my favorite Zelda story ever. Very few Zelda games have this amount of cheese.
Join me, Link, and I will make your face the greatest in Koredai, or else you will die.
So seeing it expressed in a spin-off is actually quite interesting. There's also the Tingle game on PS, but we'll get to that later. So, woo! Autistic Video Games 3 is over. Thank you for watching, please like and subscribe, and bye-bye!